I wanted to do a video of my youngest join up ever. And this took place this summer when we were watching a 1-year-old who could say mama and dada and had just learned pickle. That is how he would say it. And it was so funny. So he was just learning to talk right at me, trying to get my attention. And when I focused in on him, um, I could just see him trying to communicate with someone. And from that point, when it hit me, I was engaged with him. And what happened next is my story around joining up with a 1-year-old that can't speak yet. So there was a day this summer where I was in the kitchen, the kids were out there, and me and the wife, me and Margie were talking, and he just comes walking down the kitchen, and when I turn away my attention onto him and I look at him, he's looking right up at me, walking towards me, and he's doing almost like a pattern of sign language, and he's and he's trying to communicate in a way. And as soon as I got the attention, he's like, oh, it hit me that he is communicating with me. And that was the first time that I noticed he was communicating to me. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, Margie, look, he's communicating with me. And I could just think of the baby books and all of that. And the wife said, yes, your children did that too. She tossed me a line and that hit me. It was like, wow, I missed paying attention to my kids that way. But the real story here that I'm working around is that when I noticed this child who couldn't talk, who was just looking to be heard, and I started to listen, changed how I listen today. That experience floored me. And so I surrendered and was just in awe, how can I listen? So he just takes me over to the other room, into one of the other rooms. And so I sit down with him, I get down on his level. I lay down, sit on the floor, and he goes up to the fan. It's summertime here. And he goes up to the fan and he starts yelling inside the fan, and you can hear just a different sound. And he's just cracking up. He's looking at me and I'm just there. I'm engaged with him. I'm participating with him. I'm listening to him. And he does all sorts of things. We're sitting there, he does the fan, right? In this room, we have a couch, and there's there's a passageway for a baby to crawl behind the couch. Between the couch and the wall, there's a little area, and he can get back behind and come around the recliner, and so he would and he went and did that. But before he has to move that's where we store our paper towels. And so there's a bunch of paper towels there. So he gets every one of these there's 20 of these big Costco, so just single rolls, there's 20 of them in there, or so. And he pulls them all out and he's jumping on them. He's laying on them and he's just like using them as a pillow. And I'm just laughing with him. He's having a blast. He gets the remote. We never let him touch the remote, or most of the time, but it's like, hey, he's just playing with the remote because he sees, us doing that. It was so cool. And it was probably 15, 20 minutes. I was just in awe with him, just being with him. And he was just showing me all that he has explored. And at one time I'm sitting on the floor and he comes by me to go play on a nightstand, on a little table with a lamp. He likes to hit it like a drum. He likes to beat on it a little bit, make some noise. He's just sitting back there playing, and I'm watching and paying attention to him. But I was more focused up here, and he comes off on my 45. And 45 is significant, but he's like right behind me on my 45. He comes up on this shoulder and he lays his head right on my shoulder. And I was like, oh, how cool. He did that for about 5 seconds and then reached over and gave me just a little kiss on the cheek. I looked over at him and he's just got this big smile on his face. And his eyes said, "Thank you for listening." That melted my heart. And what I realized was we just joined up. I joined up. This was my youngest join up. And he didn't even have to talk. I didn't even have to talk. We were just there. And from that moment, that lesson taught me how important it is for us to listen. And as humans, how important it is for us to be heard. It is such a great story. And the join up, we learn about communicating and connecting with other people. And only when we pause and listen to others, can we really be with them? Can we really communicate? And can we really connect? And I just celebrate the mechanics of communication, the mechanics of biology, our desire and need to be around and with others. And that moment changed my life to acknowledge listening rather than hearing. That would not have been possible without that join up would not have been possible if I was just hearing. If I wasn't listening, if I wasn't engaged, if I wasn't paying attention, if I wasn't quiet around my self-talk, around the thoughts in my head. And I just celebrate my youngest join up. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Grayson.